Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of the Grandstand here on the Ohio Page Education Network YouTube channel. I am, as always, your host on Vivek Ramaswamy, at least I pronounce the guy's last name, as well as the possible Trump indictment that's coming down. Sorry, my stuff all messed up. But yeah, we're gonna talk about my current thoughts on Vivek, and then also the possible Trump indictment that's coming down Tuesday afternoon. So basically, in the last day or so, and I've talked about Vivek before, I thought the guy was kind of very he just seems very shady, I guess is the best way to describe him. Like, he could be a rhino, he could be on the level. I don't know, man. It's hard to tell. Like, this is the problem with, you know, billionaires and stuff like that getting into politics. You don't know if they're actually on the level or not. You don't know if they actually really care about this country or if they're just trying to basically, make moves and take power is what it is. And it's the same thing with everybody for that matter, dude. I don't care if you're a billionaire or a multimillionaire, whatever the case be. If you have a bunch of money and you are running for political office, I'm going to side eye you every single time, dude, because it's like, okay, do you really actually care about fixing this country? Or are you just trying to sit there and fuck around and then turn around and basically become a dictator in the future is what it is. And that's where it kind of bothers me. And then even yesterday, because he was the only one that actually of the GOP, challengers and stuff like that, and the primary and stuff here, actually talked about Trump's possible indictment right now, and was like, this is absolutely ridiculous, and it was basically saying how he was told by various political consultants and stuff like that he shouldn't say a word about it, and he's thinking that's probably why people like DeSantis and Nikki Haley and stuff like that haven't said anything about it either. Which would make sense, obviously. But the thing about that is, though, honestly, it's like, who gives a fuck what your political consultants are saying, dude? No, you fucking talk. You're talking about the president of the United States, for God's sakes, and Donald J. Trump. The fact that you're unwilling to make a statement about that shows the kind of cowardice fucking shit we don't need in politics, honestly, when it comes to DeSantis or Haley, whoever else for that matter, dude, in this fucking primary and stuff. Versus Vivek, who actually is willing to say something about it. Now, granted, that being said, the statement he gave in like 3 or 4 minutes or whatever was I'm kind of like it's kind of like eyebrow raising. Cause I'm just like, really, bro? Like, because it almost sounds like he's kind of worried about his own indictment possibly in the future is what it is for something. Who the hell knows, man? I mean, the guy did do a bunch of stuff with pharmaceutical companies and stuff like that to make money and stuff. So, who knows? The thing about it is, though, and I'm going to say it like it is, man. If Vivek actually took the time to sit down with somebody like me for like 10 minutes to a half hour, give or take, and win me over in that 10 minutes to a half hour, I could potentially be one of the best people for his campaign right now, dude, because I would be one of those people going out there and knocking on doors and doing all kinds of stuff for this man. Now, granted, that being said, do I think he could win me over in 10 minutes to a half hour or so? I don't know. The guy is very charismatic, and that's the one thing that kind of scares me in general, dude. Because they basically have two people that are kind of charismatic, dude, which are actually I guess to say three people that are legitimately charismatic who actually give a shit, people who are psychopaths who are just fucking nuts is what it is, and just want power and seek power and everything else like that, and then cult leaders is what it is. The third one, cult leaders looking for cult members is what it is, dude. And I'm not going to sit there and say which category this dude falls into because I'm not even sure at this point, honestly. The entire point I'm trying to make is do I really think Vivek has a chance in this actual election cycle to become the president of the United States? Probably not. I think, honestly, given what we're seeing right now and the fact that you even had Elon Musk come out and was like, hey, if they try to indict Trump, he's going to win in the landslide and stuff. I think that's what we're going to see, honestly, dude. I think you're going to see a secondary presidency of Donald Trump is what it is. I think you're going to have people like Vivek basically be the Andrew Yang of their respective, presidential election cycle is what it is, where they go in there, they make a big stink about something, and then they're just never heard from again is what it is. And, we saw this with other people like Jill Stein and stuff like that, which I'm going to still do a grandstand about Jill Stein later on because she was at some War March thing yesterday, and oh my God, dude, that chick is 100% on the Antifa side, and it's like, Jesus Christ, lady. But, yeah, the entire thing is, though, You got your Jill Stein types or your Andrew Yang types or whoever else. People that aren't actual politicians that are trying to run for office is what it is, trying to run for the highest office in the land, being the presidency of the United States of America. And for these people, it's basically all or nothing. And in most cases, nobody ever hears from them again, dude. They make a stink or whatever for like an election cycle, and then they're just never heard from again. Maybe they bleed off some votes from the front runners or somebody else for that matter. And yeah, they're never ever heard from again is what it is, dude, because nobody really wants them is what it is. And my thinking is like with Vivek and stuff, I like the message he's giving out, honestly, dude. Like, I like what I'm hearing from this guy, legitimately. I think he actually does provide a very good message. Do I think he'll be president at the end of the day? No. Do I think he'd make a good VP for Trump or somebody like that? Fuck yeah. And that's the thing, dude. Like, if they actually ran as a ticket together right now, I think they'd be better off, honestly, dude. Now, granted, would Trump actually want this Vivek guy as his VP and stuff like that? Probably not. That being said, I've also heard of Kristi Noem possibly being on Trump's short list for VP nominees and stuff like that, dude. If it was a Trump Noem ticket, dude, whoo, that would be an immediate fucking rubber stamp for my vote, honestly, on that one, dude, just because Kristi Noem. And the fact you would have Trump being, kind of wish-washy still, but the fact you would have a constitutionalist and Kristi Noem backing him up as a VP and stuff, dude, so if anything were happening to Trump, like, she would just take over as would it be then. That's the main reason why I'd vote for that ticket, honestly. If it was Trump and somebody else, though, again, I'm still very like, nah, probably not. But the thing of it is, like, it depends, obviously, who that other person is as well. Because my thing is, I never voted for Trump Pence, dude. I never voted for Trump Pence in 2016. Now, granted, that being said, did I technically vote for the ticket in 2020 just because of, things happening and stuff like that? And I wasn't going to let Biden win and shit? Of course I did. But the entire point is, though, is that when you look into certain things of certain people and stuff like that, you can have an individual tell you what you want to hear. That doesn't mean that they're going to tell you the truth is what it is, dude. And unfortunately, I think that's a lot of cases with politicians and people that want to be politicians is what it is, dude, is that they will never actually tell you legitimately the truth fully. They will basically tell you their version of the truth to get them elected. And then it basically, half of them turn around and just scumbag you is what it is. And that's what I'm kind of sick and tired of with politics in general in this country, is people that will do that kind of thing. Because when you do certain aspects of certain things, you completely screw over the American people in most cases for the benefit of yourself or the benefit of the donor classes and stuff like that. Now, granted, that being said, again, going back to Vivek's whole thing there, when he specifically, in a couple Twitter updates yesterday, was calling out the quote-unquote donor class candidates being DeSantis and Nikki Haley and stuff like that, I'm just like, really interestingly, dude. Because, and again, this goes back to something I talked about before with this man. You had specifically, there was supposed to be some kind of meeting with various GOP mega donors and stuff like that, like billionaires and stuff like that, down in Florida here in the past, like, couple of weeks or whatever. And specifically, it was Nikki Haley, DeSantis, a couple other people, and that Vivek guy. And I'm just like, interesting. So, are you just a rhino? Or are you on the level? And this, again, goes back to the thing where I would love to talk with this Vivek guy legitimately, face to face, for, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a half hour, whatever it is. Because, again, if he could actually win me over in that short conversation, I would be one of the best people for him, dude. I would be one of the best volunteers for his campaign in the future. Now, granted, that being said, again, do I believe he can win me over in that time period? Probably not, is what it is, dude. Because, again, I believe that this guy is very much a wish-washy candidate, is what it is. He is a person who has come out of nowhere, just like Andrew Yang, just like all these other people in the past election cycles and stuff like that, and been like, oh, we're going to do this and that and everything else like that. And it's like, where the hell have you been for the past, 20 years, dude? Like, that's my question. And in most cases, it's the fact that you have this man doing a bunch of big pharmaceutical company stuff and making a bunch of money in, various pharmaceutical company stuff and stuff like that, dude. And so what you end up having is a situation where you have these, very wealthy individuals now that are coming out of the woodwork and going straight to the presidency for running instead of going to a U.S. Senate seat or a U.S. congressional seat or a governorship or anything like that for that matter, dude. Even like a state rep or a state senator or something like that, dude. And that's my biggest issue right there is you have these individuals who could easily win hands down at a state level if they wanted to, or even like a federal seat in a state or whatever the case be. But instead they were like, no, I'm just going to jump here. So it's like 0 to 100 basically out of nowhere. And that's why I find it very shifty, honestly, because it's like, okay, so you were basically a nobody that nobody knew about, and now all of a sudden you're trying to run for the presidency, and it's like, okay, then. So, I don't know. It's very, like I said, it makes me very uneasy with all these people, honestly, dude, whether it be Vivek or DeSantis or Haley or any of them, dude. And then, of course, you got the Alan Bragg guy, who is a known Soros DA at this point in Manhattan, trying to indict Trump on basically misdemeanor charges, is what it is, dude. If even misdemeanors, for that matter. Over some bullshit trumped up case with Stormy Daniels' ass is what it is, dude. And it's absolute bullshit entirely. And so what you end up having is a situation there where, like I said, when it comes to people in this race, Vivek is the only one calling it out and being like, no, this is absolutely ridiculous. Like, why is Trump even about to be possibly indicted? You're just taking out political opponents is what it is. And that's exactly what they're doing, dude. That's exactly what the Democrat Party is doing right now. They are taking out their highest rival for the presidency. And that's the problem. It's exactly why the feds didn't indict Hillary Clinton back in 2016 when she was under FBI indictment, by the way. Like, she was under all kinds of scrutiny there, but yet she was still running for presidency, dude. And it's like, how the fuck is that even possible? How in the fuck are you even still running for the presidency when you were under basically federal indictment? And there is so, like, it's just so, like, the problem is it's a good old boys club, really. And when I say good old boys, what I mean by that is it is the Bilderberg puppet elites out there who don't give a fuck about America, don't give a fuck about the American people, just want to seize power. Whether it be the people who make up Bilderberg, your Soros types, your Rothschild family, et cetera, or whether it be the World Economic Forum people, which that's another thing with that Vivek guy, by the way, is he claims that he's debunked the whole thing with like his possible World Economic Forum ties and stuff like that, and how people at the World Economic Forum basically in like 2020 or 2021, I think it was, gave him like a green light where like, yeah, this is going to be our guy for like 2024 or something. And I'm like, but have you debunked that? And that's another thing. Like, that's the thing that bothers me, right? Like, it's a situation there of, okay, are you actually on the level? Are you just some puppet of a bunch of billionaire and trillionaire douchebags is what it is? Because it could easily be that thing, honestly. And that's, again, where I'm kind of like, we're like essentially about a year out right now from the presidential primaries next year. And I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, who would I even vote for at this point? And it's like, it's still a toss up for me, honestly, dude. Like, it really is. And I think for a lot of people it is, for that matter, because it's like you have all these candidates coming out of the woodwork and trying to jump into this race for the GOP primary and stuff like that. And it's like, but are any of you any good? Or should it just be some new person and stuff in general? So, and yeah, this is the thing. Do I really think we're going to have a guy named Vivek Ramaswamy, however I pronounce his last name, as president? Like, you're gonna have a President Ramaswamy? No, I don't think that's possible, dude. I just don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening. And that's the thing. Because it comes down to a situation of, what are the American people going to vote for? They're going to vote for somebody who they believe is a truly good candidate. And I think, honestly, if this was, 3-4 election cycles from now, does this Vivek guy stand a chance for the presidency? Maybe. Does he stand a chance in 2024 potentially against Trump and other people like that? No. No, he doesn't, dude. And that's the entire point. Even DeSantis, for that matter. Like, I believe, honestly, when it comes to Ron DeSantis, he is making the run right now for a single reason. It's because of the fact that he's primaried out of the Florida governorship in 2026. So it's either now or never. It's either now or you basically run for Congress for an election cycle and keep yourself politically relevant from 2026 to 2028. And then you run for the presidency in 2028. And I think that's why DeSantis is stepping up now. That being said, would a Trump DeSantis ticket win the presidency? Potentially. And that's the thing right there. Unfortunately, they're basically at each other's throats in this case, in many cases, over the shit, instead of actually teaming up together and doing what needs to be done. And then basically you just have a DeSantis victory from 2028 to like 2036, basically, is what it would be then. So, anyway, I don't know. It just, like I said, my whole feeling on the whole thing is it's like, I want to hope this Vivek guy's on the level, honestly. I really would like to think he is. But just the stuff that he said and like just his various, Twitter videos and stuff like that, he almost gets you. But then it's like he says something like random, like about like democracy or something like that. And I'm just like, but we're a constitutional republic, bro. Like, come on. And that's where it, kind of clips me out of the whole thing. And like, it's one of those things where like it hits your brain and you're just like, oh, nope, this guy's not on the level is what it is, dude, kind of thing. And I feel like that's where we're at right now. It's a situation like that. And like I said, to reiterate, like, if that dude was willing to have an actual sit down with me as a possible voter for him and stuff like that and win me over in that time, I could be great to be a volunteer for his campaign and stuff like that, dude. But do I think he actually has a chance to win me over in that time? Probably not, is what it is, dude. Do I think he's even going to bother sit down with just some random guy, is what it is? No, probably not. However, I don't know. It'll be interesting, dude. Like, I think it'll be very interesting to see what happens with this whole election cycle, honestly. I think next week is going to be a very big deal. The fact that you have over 60% of the Manhattan DA's office basically saying with this Alan Bragg guy, they want nothing to do with the Trump indictment BS. And it's like, okay, so how do you, as an assistant district attorney, not immediately indict the district attorney for deprivation of rights under color of law and other criminal acts like that, dude? Because obviously this Bragg guy is doing a bunch of criminal shit is what it is. And yet you're allowing him to continue on and do that criminality and just basically washing your hands of it instead of arresting his ass and indicting his ass is what it is, dude. Having the NYPD arrest his ass and then indict him is what it is. So, I don't know. The whole thing just feels very shifty to me in general. And I would like to think that we're not seeing a bunch of fuckery going on in this election cycle right now. But that's exactly what we're seeing, dude. We're seeing the Democrat Party target their political opponents. We're seeing Bilderberg target their political opponents. And you're about to see some crazy shit happen in this country. And I think, unfortunately, when you have potential like calls for, a rising up and stuff like that, whether it be from Trump or who the fuck else was claiming to be Trump there or whatever, dude, I feel like that's definitely a setup at this point. Like, it feels like another January 6th all over again. And yeah, I don't think I don't believe honestly that Americans at this point would technically like, rise up in droves and it would be like Second American Revolution, not over like a Trump indictment. If it was based like that being said, if it was like bing bang boom, where it was like all the GOP candidates being indicted on various stuff by the Democrat Party, like, yeah, that would probably cause a rising up of some kind in this country. But like just like a Trump indictment that he could easily beat or whatever, dude, like, nah, it would be a whole thing like that. And like I said, when it comes to Elon Musk basically saying like, oh, Trump's possible indictment would lead to a landslide victory, it's very possible that it does, honestly. And I think honestly, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of days. I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what happens here come Tuesday, and I think we're going to see a lot of very interesting things happen in the next like 48 to 72 hours, honestly, in this country. Now, granted, that being said, where should we all be in this at this point in time in history right now? We should be on the edge of our chairs for sure, and we should be looking at the scumbaggery of the Democrats and their Bilderberg puppet masters, what it is. Other than that, we should definitely be looking ahead at where this country is going, making sure that we as individuals are prepared for what's coming. You know, food, water, medicine, ammunition, guns, etc., etc. Make sure your stockpiles are stockpiled, and be ready for anything, dude. Be ready for an actual Great Depression to happen, because it's very possible that happens right now before the 2024 election cycle. And if you're not ready for that, you're behind the eight ball, is what it is. So, anyway, that being said, where I'm at right now, I feel like we're definitely heading towards bad times ahead right now. And I would like to think that things are going to get better, but I think they're going to get worse before they get better, is what it is. So, my best advice is be prepared. You know, again, look at all these candidates with a grain of salt. Look at things they've done in the past. Look at things they're, talking about doing in the future, and basically feel them out. You know, if your gut instinct is, hey, these people might be shady as fuck, go with that instinct, because usually that instinct is true in most cases. And that's kind of how I feel about this Vivek guy, honestly. Is something just doesn't sit right with me with this man. Maybe it's my high functioning autism. Maybe it's the weaponized autism. Who knows? But like, just from what I've looked into this guy and researched him personally, like, I just don't. He just doesn't seem like he's all on the level, dude. Like, it definitely feels like he's hiding something. I don't know what it is at this point, honestly. But that being said, I think we're definitely in for some interesting times ahead in this country's history. And I believe we're definitely heading towards something, you know, a civil war, revolution, Great Depression, a grid down. I don't know what, honestly. But it's best to be prepared for these things. It's best to be prepared for the inevitable. And, if it doesn't get to that worst case scenario, awesome. That being said, it's better to be prepared for it and not need the stuff than to actually need it and not have it. And you find yourself basically in a situation where you are walking with a big group at some point, and you're basically the Walking Dead at the end of the day. So, anyway, that's about it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Like I said, I'll be back for another one at some point in the future, about probably sometime later this afternoon, about that crazy bitch Jill Stein and her just being a total leftist nut at this point, pro Antifa, etc., etc. But other than that, that's where we're at for the day. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you all in the next one.